Okay, friends, here we go. We got some yoga today, so I want you to grab some basic props if you have them, or if you don't, not a big deal, but just to make your experience more comfortable, maybe a blanket, couple blocks, or something to put your hands on, and a strap or scarf. Like, I love my little infinity scarf to use that as a strap. It's a little broader and more comfortable to hold, and it's cozy. So as you come to a seated position, and you can sit on your blanket or on a bolster. I just always prefer to sit up a little higher on something. Helps the hips open and the knees to drop down a little lower. And as you arrive here, go ahead and start with just a little shoulder shrug up and down a couple of times. So we'll inhale. And as you're starting to get settled here and moving through this little shrug up and down, start noticing if you are leaning forward a little bit, if you're kind of rounding your shoulders when you do this. And I want you to pull the shoulders back. And then on this next one, lift up and roll back and down. So nice big shoulder, kind of pull them forward just a little bit, but don't kick your chin up. That's going to compress the neck. So just bring them forward a little bit. Lift all the way up by your ears and then scoop them back as far to the wall behind you as you can. Okay, so inhale, lifting up. You could even let your hands just kind of dangle and let them move with your arms so that you're not in any kind of weird compromising position there. Okay, so really drop back and down. Keep the ribs drawn in and your hip points not so much dialed up, but just in a neutral space, so that if you imagine their little headlights, little flashlights on your hip points, they would be shooting straight across the room, rather than pushing down toward the floor, shooting to the floor or to the ceiling, because they'll go straight forward. Okay, so let's try just one more big circle and bring it back down. I want you to pause in that back and down position, but broaden that upper back a bit, really kind of just drop them into this, just drop down and keep those shoulders kind of pushed into the sockets here. We're going to let the head fall over to the right and just relax into it. I want you to pause here, take a big deep breath in, try to bring that breath down low toward the belly, even toward your back. Exhale, relax your shoulders a little more, and take one more breath here, and exhale out. Lifting head back to center slowly. Take the head over to the opposite side and pause. Once again, you may even kind of take a little lift with your shoulders on an inhale and then exhale, drop them down, and notice the difference there, especially on that outer side, the side you're moving away from. And then take last breath here, and we'll come back up to center. Now with your shoulders, go ahead and shrug those shoulders up and really give them a good squeeze. Like you're really squeezing up there, tensing up. And now with everything you have in you, I want you to drop them down on the count of 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. They become super heavy. All right, let's do it again. So we're going to lift up and squeeze, 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 squeeze. 1, 2, and 3. Like there should be a real drop of a weight. So take one more. It's one of my favorite ones to do here. So take a deep breath in. 1, 2, and drop it. That third one hopefully got real heavy. Okay, now the head side to side a couple of times. And then we'll sweep the arms up. So sweeping all the way up. I want you to interlace your fingers as they're overhead. And now flip those palms up to the sky, stretching through the underside of your wrist and down the backside or underside of your forearm. Pull those elbows back, but when you're pulling back, now I want you to notice, as I'll turn here for a sec. So I want you to notice when you pull them back, are you arching in your back? Okay, so I want you to readjust, pull the ribs down, and scoop the belly in and anchor as you push back just a little bit more. Okay. Also, while you're here, drop those shoulders away from ears just like you did a moment ago. And we're going to lean over slightly to one side, anchoring your hips. I know it's a little more challenging here, so I want you to push down. So if you're reaching over to the right with me, you're going to drop down in that left sit bone, left hip, and your waist is still staying really long. So take a moment to readjust. Now take a breath in and go a little further with your exhale. Take one more breath and over a little further and back up, even if that's just a tiny, tiny amount. So Release the arms to the front and all the way down. Let's just shake them out a little bit, little circles with your wrist. And then reverse that circle. We're gonna take the hands forward again, interlace and press forward, drop those shoulders down and anchor before you get up and sweep the arms up. Now pausing here, taking it over to the left. Anchor that right sit bone, right hip. Deep breath in. Fill up, get long, and then exhale, reach. Rolling your right side waist back a bit. Take one more breath here, just like this. Anchor right sit bone, right hip. And exhale, reach out long all the way through the palms. And then back up to center. And then release the fingers all the way down with the hands. Good. Shrug it out. Just kind of look big circles and moving those wrists and hands, kind of like you've got something wet on your fingers and you're just shaking them out. And we're going to take left arm and sweep up and over, keeping that long side waist. And then up to the other side, stretching through the side waist all the way from your hip up to in the middle of your armpit, really. And up through the fingers. And now come back to center, turning to the left or turning to your right. You're going to bring that left side waist all the way around and pause. So sit really, really tall. You could just have your fingertips behind you and take a breath. With your exhale, see if you can pull the right side waist back a little more. And one more breath. Brings you back around to center with your next inhale and all the way slowly around to the opposite side as you pause. Deep breath in. I want you to still have your hip points pointing to the wall that's across from you. So the rotation is really happening from your mid-waist. Think about your hip points right here, that pelvic bowl. Hip points just shooting across the room so that if they pull around with you, they would be kind of to the corner of your room. I want you to keep them straight. One more breath. And come back to center. Very nice. Switching the way your legs are crossed. So just flip-flop that. Take the opposite leg in front. May feel a little awkward at first. We'll sweep the arms up. And then bring the hands forward as you start to fold forward. So just coming out as far as you can in front of you. Reach it out. Stretching into your low back. And then come back up. Inhale. Reach the arms up again. And this time bringing your fingertips behind you, just right behind the sit bones. And then lifting the chest, pulling the tail down, making sure your ribs don't start to poke forward. And really kind of bend the elbows. So I'm just kind of pushing back, not leaning back here, but lifting up. It's almost like a little half-seated camel. So just really lifting up through the chest, but still pulling ribs in and squeezing those shoulder blades. Come back to center. And then we'll just take that side reach again. So left arm reaching up and over. And back to center and to the opposite side. We'll still end in those twists to either side. So as you come up, that right hand's going to sweep behind you as your hip points are still pointing forward and you're rotating the torso around to the right. Take a breath here. See if you can twist a little deeper. Look over the front shoulder and drop that shoulder down. And then return all the way back to center as you start to spin to the opposite side. At first, you can start to turn your head and look back. And on your next breath, go ahead and look forward and over that front shoulder toward the floor and drop the shoulder if you notice it lifting. And then we'll come back to center. Very nice. Let's take those legs out nice and wide. So in this nice big wide position, I want you to take your feet and push out through your heels. Pull those toes back even if it requires a bend in your knees. Okay, so now from here, take arms, sweep up. And then we're going to bring the hands right behind the head and fingertips holding just the head. I want you to feel like you're leaning back a little bit, but pushing through your heels, pulling toes back. We're going to take left elbow down toward left thigh and just rotate. Just a slight rotation back and then a side bend over. Come back to center and then right elbow toward right thigh and pull back on the left side. Now we can add a little reach as you inhale center, exhale over to the left and pause, and you can reach that right arm out and bring it back in. Okay. Inhale center, exhale rotate, pull left side back, reach left arm overhead toward the opposite side. Good, inhale. Now as you exhale here, you can take that bottom arm and just reach it along the inside of the leg and bring everything back to center. To the other side, pause and then reach it out. And we'll take 2 more. Inhale, exhale over. And last one. Back to center and over to the right, reaching left arm. And now come back. I want you to bring that right foot in. Still back to where you started right here. We're going to rotate slightly over to the right with your chest. And now as you come over, check it out. You've still got your toes to the sky, your knees slightly bent, and you're over to the side with this left elbow along the inside area of your bottom leg, straight leg. And now bring that left arm down. Just let it kind of butt up against that bottom leg, straight leg. And now right arm reaches. Hold it here. So bicep by ear, palm is facing down toward the floor. Inhale, I want you to soften the palm like you're cupping some little cotton balls right underneath your palm. So it's not super rigid. It's a little soft under the palm. And we're rolling back on that right side. So you can even look to the right side or just look toward the floor. Sit up really tall and then exhale, reach a little deeper. And we're going to do that 3 more times. So if that means you want to come up on your inhale, that's perfectly fine to do. Okay, and then exhale, go down lower. Or if you just stay right where you are, take a breath and roll the sideways back, reach a little further. And then come all the way up. Oh, we're all going to be a little taller when this is over. Okay, place that right hand down behind you so it's kind of at an angle back behind you. Left arm reaches up. I want you to rock that shoulder blade back and down and get some action in there. Get that elbow a little soft because the action is in your upper back. We're going to lift up and push the hips forward. So it's the front body that's lifting toward the sky. It's not going to be way over here like a side angle lift or a side plank lift. Okay, so we're trying to lift up, bringing the hips up and drop or drawing your tail slightly under, pushing the hips up and toward the sky. Take a breath, come back down, very nice. All right, so we're gonna spin around to the left. Now, as you spin to the left towards your straight leg, I want you to really rotate the shoulders and the chest, and now slide the whole leg back. So feel like if you look at your leg right now and you pull it back, it looks like it might have gotten a little shorter. All you did was square up your hips more. So if you've got your strap, feel free to use it here. Okay, so scarf, anything will do, a towel. You could do nothing at all, but I really like holding something here to allow for that nice posture, okay? And a little feedback as you push your foot into that strap or towel or whatever you have. Put a little soft bend in your knee. Inhale, get really tall and lift it and pull the rib cage in. Now I want you to start thinking about coming forward with your hips first. It's not a big tilt of your hips, but imagine that you're just deepening your crease and you're coming forward here, keeping your shoulders pulled back and not allowing your head to drop. So your level may look different than mine. Okay, come back up. I do have quite a bit of flexibility, but I still have a lot of tightness. So it's always something to keep in mind. Just because someone's flexible doesn't mean that they're not also tight and or that they don't have any mobility issues, okay? So if you're not going as far, don't feel like it's something that's wrong with you. Okay, well, I want you to keep moving in and out of this a few times. We're all just kind of put together different, and we have our muscles and our tendons and everything just kind of have a different slightly different consistency from person to person. And our range of motion. So I want you to pause on your last one. Now wherever you are, you're holding on to something, you're going to try to pull your elbows back like you're doing a row. So if you were doing like a hinged little lat row, okay? So it's like you're doing a lat row here. I want you to really pull your elbows back to bring your chest forward. So if your device isn't long enough, see if you can find something a little longer, like a long scarf. I've got mine's an infinity, so it's doubled up. Okay, but I want you to be able to pull those elbows back, really draw the rib cage up and in and get tall. Notice if I'm coming forward, hopefully you can see that. As I'm coming forward, I'm kind of just sinking down into it right now. But if I really activate the core, that lifts me back up a bit. Take one more breath and exhale it out. Come all the way up. Very good. Now you're going to take that same leg, keep holding it with your strap. We're going to take the right hand and hold the straps. So with straps, towels, whatever, you're going to hold it with just your right hand. As you start to lean back just a little bit, left hand over here to the side, and we're going to lift it up. Okay, very good. We're just lifting it up. Now from there, I want you to rotate. So I'm going to spin around a little more this way so you can see. Okay, so now from holding it with your right hand as close to the foot as you can, wherever that is, I want you to put a slight bend in that knee again. Bring your left arm and pull it back. So you're really opening up, pulling the chest around. Good. Rotate that rib cage. Deep breath in. Taking last full breath here. And then bring it back to center. Just drop that leg down. And release it. Awesome work. We're going to take the opposite side. So stretch them out first. Give them a little shake. Bring right leg over. Left leg back in. If when you bend your knee, it bothers your knee or your hip, especially if you don't feel like you have a lot of range of motion there, externally rotating motion, you can support it with a block, okay, or anything that has height to it. Pillows work great. All right, so now we're going to be turning again slightly toward this right leg. So I want you to rotate your shoulders and your chest around. And now feel like this leg is going to get a little shorter as you kind of, it feels almost as like it's not really happening necessarily, but we're going to really feel like we're going to pull this femur bone, the leg bone. See if you could suction it up into the hip. Just really pull it back. All right, so that's what it's going to look or feel like and look like. So as we pause, now we're rotated toward the right leg. You're going to grab your strap or whatever you have, your little arm lengthening device here. Now mine is really wide, so it's going to cover the majority of the sole of my foot, but my emphasis, and if you just have a regular yoga strap, your emphasis is across the mounds of your toes, not on the arch. All right, so not way down here. So I really want you to be able to push into the mounds of your toes, pull your toes back and push into it like you're in a high heel shoe. Okay, now inhale, get tall. Exhale like you're doing a lat row. I want you to just bring those elbows beside you a little bit more as you gently hinge forward. Inhale, come up. So we should be lifting with the chest, lifting with the head, and exhale, coming forward. Core strong. You're coming all the way over to the right side as far as you can comfortably go. Okay. Inhale, coming up. We're doing a few more dynamic movements. So it just means we're gently moving in and out of this. And every time you come forward, go as far as you feel comfortable going, and maybe it's just a tiny bit further each time. Okay, 2 more dynamic movements with your breath. Exhale, bring it over. And then 1 more inhale. So we're getting a stretch on the hamstrings of the straight leg, but also because we're in this rotation, we're getting this great stretch back here into that quadratus lumborum right here in that space that's right beside your spine. Okay. Pause there wherever it is for you. Okay. So even if it's lifted a little higher, I want you to inhale while you're in your forward bend. Exhale, maybe it allows you to go a little deeper. Usually our exhale is where we're going to be able to deepen any of our stretches. So take another breath in. Pull the rib cage in. Exhale, deepen that forward bend. And then 1 more. I want you to have that active breath. Deep breath in. Chin is down, neck is long. And exhale, falling a little deeper. And come all the way back up to center. Very good. Now you're going to continue to hold that strap. As you hold the strap, I want you to pull deep through your core. Start to lean back a little bit and then lifting that leg up by using your core, but your hip flexor is going to have to work too. But I really want that core engaged. Okay, so you're holding it with your left hand. You're going to take your right arm and sweep it back. So as I turn, give you a better angle. Okay. We're going to turn and rotate that right side back. Okay. Deep breath in and hold on as close to the foot as you can. And if you can actually reach your foot, then just hold your foot. Right? And you can reach even to the pinky toe side of the foot. That's another nice option. Okay. If that's not happening today, it's okay. All right, take another breath. And then bring it back around to center. Very good. We're going to drop that down. Take both legs out and just shake them out. And we'll bring those blocks onto the mat for a moment as you flip yourself around into tabletop. So we won't be here real long, but if you'd like to have cushion under your knees, always feel free to do so. So from your table, I want you just to practice a couple of times on your blocks just because we have a little extra height. So we're going to do a few cat-cows lifted here, and we're going to get a little bit more rounding when we do this. Okay, really drop the shoulders back on your inhale. Exhale, scooping and lifting up. Let's take just one more. And back to center. All right, so from here, I want you to reach your hands forward, and they can be on blocks if you feel like your hands are comfortable on blocks. So I don't want them to slide on your mat or your hands to slide on your block. So options there would be to place a sticky mat also over your blocks if you want. Okay, so from here, we're just going to stay in this little kind of elevated and slightly off center tabletop. We're reaching the hands forward past the shoulder line, hips are over the knees. Taking your right hand and just reach it under toward the outer part of your left knee or thigh. Okay, just reach back, and then I want you to really drop down on that left side and reach underneath. Okay. So your hips are staying basically in line with your knees. They might shift back a little, it's okay. So I just want you to reach over to that outside. Good, so your head has dropped with you. You might look under your right or your left armpit. And then I want you to come back up. Okay. So same thing here. Left hand is on the block or the mat. Take the right hand. It could even be something slightly elevated more if you like. Okay, we're going to take that right hand, or excuse me, left hand. I'm still trying to mirror. We're going to just drop it down. Reach your left hand forward, or your, excuse me, I'm all backwards. Reach your right hand forward. And your left arm is underneath you. So your right arm is forward, the left arm is under. We're just looking under that right armpit. And then we're going to come back up to center. Good. So moving a block back right at center on the mat. Take your right hand on it and lift the left side. Reaching to the opposite. Now we're just going to open up that twist. Okay, bring it back down. So here's what I want you to do while we're here for a moment. Okay, I'm going to keep that right hand on the block for just a moment because I want to practice this a couple of times. So the left arm is going to pull back with the shoulder first. So I want you to really draw that shoulder up and back. And then I want you to rotate the left side waist, and then notice your arm only comes at the very end. So the rotation is from your waist and come back to center. So let's try that on the other side. So block is at center, left hand is at center. And from this angle, you'll see, I'm going to lift that right shoulder up, back, and down, and notice it's higher than my left shoulder already. And then the rotation continues to spin from the waist. The arm is only last, so the arm is not leading the twist. Okay, so come back down, and we will rest. So sending your blocks just somewhere up to the front, and press it back into a nice big child's pose. So as you come back up, so once again, if you feel comfortable having your hands elevated on the blocks, if you feel like if you were to release one, let's just try it. Maybe you have a sticky mat that you could stick over them, or you can elevate yourself higher onto something sturdy, stable, like a tabletop or a chair. All right, so once you come up into your down dog, if you don't feel comfortable with your hands on blocks, go ahead and have them on an elevated surface that you do feel comfortable with, or just hands on floor. All right, so as you take away the right hand, reach under to the left side of your left leg. Okay, so just reaching under. So once again, make a choice. That left hand can be on something higher or on the mat if you don't like it on the block. We're going to come back to center. And if it's just too much altogether, come back to that tabletop where we started. All right, so taking your left hand, bring it under and draw yourself around. Look under that right armpit. And then come back to center. Very nice. I want you to walk your feet up towards your hands and then find a forward bend here. So just shake out the neck. And then go ahead and start to bend the knees, hands up above the knees, and come up with a hinged hip and then all the way to standing. All right, so as we are standing, we're going to take these blocks and set them in front of us. Once again, it could be blocks, it could be paint cans, it can be anything that has some elevation to it. All right, so taking the legs wide. I'll take the blocks out a little. Okay, so taking the legs wide, toes are turned out just a bit. We're going to inhale, sweep overhead. I want you to draw the rib cage in. Take right hand over to the side and reach to the right side with the left arm. All the way up and over. Good. And then come back to center. Right arm up, left arm goes down. Tail nice and long, so you feel length in your low back. Back up to center. And now just turn your left foot so that it's straight ahead. That right toe is now pointing to your corner of your mat or corner of your room. But the left foot is straight ahead. Rotate slightly now toward your right foot and start to fold forward. So here's where we have a block, and if you need more than one, grab your other one. Now our hips are not going to be completely square like they would here for a pyramid. It's slightly different than a pyramid. So I just want you to just come over to the side it looks more like you're in just a regular open hip position, and let your chest fall. So hands can be right here to the inside, or you can frame the foot if you had two blocks or you want to place your hands here. We're getting a little more to the outside area on that right leg. So a little more to the outside area of the hamstrings rather than right down the center in the belly. To take a couple of breaths. So once again, you can be much higher than I am, but I want your legs pretty straight. Now making sure that your toes are now on your right foot, just pointing straight to the short ends of your mat. So they're pointing to the right side of your room. Go ahead and grab your block or a stack of blocks, and we're going to place the right hand on it, pull it back behind your heel line, and reach that left arm up. Okay, so I'm adjusting just to make sure that that shoulder and wrist are staying in line. Once again, take that right hand onto something higher if needed. And notice that's what's happening. It's with me, it might be happening with you. I'm bowing up here on the waist, right? So I want to drop that down by releasing the bottom waist and see if you can get a little longer. Very nice. Now sweep that left arm all the way over. Big stretch. Rolling left side waist back. Very nice. Take another big deep breath in. And then go ahead and bring yourself all the way up. Put weight into the left heel as you sweep up. And now turning toes forward. Big deep breath in. Both of your feet are pointing straight ahead. Forward fold here. All the way down. So hands can be resting again on blocks or on ottomans or whatever you have nearby. Okay, you can make anything into a prop. They could also rest on the floor. So if your hands are on the floor, just go ahead and spread those fingers wide. Bring the elbows in like they're holding a block underneath you, and just let the head hang. I want you to shift your weight slightly forward towards your big toes, but keep your heels planted. Then we're going to put a little bend in the knees, hands up above the knees on the thighs and back up to standing. Very slow. Take a deep breath. Make sure you don't get lightheaded. So now your right foot's staying right where it is. The left foot's going to turn out. It does not have to turn completely to the left. Right now we're just kind of going to the corner. All right, so evening out your hips, meaning one's not up higher than the other. We're gonna rotate around, so just rotating the waist around. Okay, deep breath in, sweep the arms up, and then start to come over to the side, to the left side. And you've got your block there, okay? One or two, so grab the other if you need it. We're not closing the hips here. I'm gonna keep them open. So again, it's not gonna be pyramid, just a slightly different stretch. Okay, so along the inside with your block or framing that front leg. Deep breath in. Gently folding forward. If you would like to go a little further, you can always place hands on either side or move it all the way over to the outside as you reach here. Okay, so you can always walk it over, get a little bit deeper stretch down the outer part of that left leg. And one more breath here. Now, I want you to bring your block or your options of prop here along the inside. Left hand stays planted. Right hand goes to the hip. Your toes turn the rest of the way toward the left side of your room. And now roll back. Okay. So I don't have enough space here between my shoulder and my hip, and it's causing me to round over. So I'm going to just adjust that a little bit, soften that knee up, and let's lengthen that bottom waist. Now reaching right arm up, deep breath. So you'll notice if you play with these actions, so if you don't have enough room, meaning for your body, like you got enough room in your space, but you don't have enough room for your body because you're kind of doing this, I want you to come up and place your hand on something higher, even if it's your thigh, and you're reaching and that palm is out. Okay, because wherever it is for you is where you need to be. I like the idea of having a support though, because it doesn't make me feel like I'm hanging out in space. So if you have a chair or something you want to bring over, grab it. But I want you to really get that bottom waist long. So take another breath. And exhale it out. As you start to sweep yourself all the way back up to standing and turn the toes back to the front again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward bend. Coming down. Now play with your options here. So I'm just going to show you from a side view. So if you play with your options in your standing bend, so first off, notice that your sit bones are going to be even with your heels, so they're not way back here. All right, so just in line. So a wall could even be nice to practice against. You can walk your hands forward like a wide leg down dog. You can bring them back underneath you and walk them in between the feet, traditional standing, wide leg standing forward bend, or reach them through like you're going to thread them all the way underneath you and flip the fingers away. So wherever you are, just find the option that suits you best, what makes you feel really good today. If you're really, really down low and the crown of your head is on the floor, you can bring your hands together like you would for a little supported headstand. Okay, but you don't have to. Now I want you to start to walk yourself up, fingertips to the floor or blocks. Bend the knees, hands come back up to the thighs, and from that hinged position, come all the way up. And now from this wide leg position, take a little heel toe action in, or take a small hop, because a little impact is good for the bones. Little impact, like weight bearing. Okay, good for the bones. All right, so now from that standing position, let's go ahead and come back to the front of your mat. So we've got our blocks here. We're going to inhale, sweep it up. And exhale, bring it all the way forward. Lifting up halfway, inhale. And then exhale, bring it back down. So I want you to step it back. First, let's just step back with that left knee. Take a little moment. Bring it up onto the right thigh. Shoulders pull back. It's getting a stretch here through the hip flexor. So find the right spot for you. And then we'll bring it back down. Lifting the back knee, stepping back. Full down dog. Inhale, come forwards. Drop the right knee, step the left knee forward. Okay, or the left foot forward. Bring it up to the thigh, lift the chest, pull the belly in. You can even sweep that right arm up, getting a deeper stretch along that right side waist. And then bring it back down. We're going to step back again into down dog. Lift the back knee. As you step back, send your right hand to the outside of your left leg, just like you did before. And then back to center and switch sides. And then bring it back to center. I want you to drop your knees down. Take a big child's pose and rest. Now, as you start to move yourself back up to seated, we're going to grab a blanket, or I prefer it. You can do what you need, but definitely I would like to have a blanket for my knees. So, standing on the knees here, we'll take the blocks, one to either side, just within reach, easy reach here. So, sending your left leg out to the side. The toes are going to point up, and that block is going to go right here. So because my blanket, it might be a little in the way, and I'm going to fold it up a little bit here, right there. So I can bring that block not quite even with the knee, but a little closer toward the hip line than the knee. So just right beneath where your shoulder would be if you just let your arm drop, all right? So your wrist and shoulder in line. So we're going to sweep the arms up, deep breath in. And as you bring that left hand down, let it drop, find the block, lift up, 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 up on that right side. So see if you can lift on your right side without scrunching up the left side. Okay? So just get really long. Now that block can stay that height, or you can go to any level you like as you now start to reach over to the side. Still rolling your right side waist back, dropping your tail down. One more breath. This beautiful little gate pose. And now we'll come back up. Bring that right hand down, left arm sweeps up. And now as you turn the toes under on the back foot, I'm gonna flip it here a second. So you could use a block or your heel. So how perfect is it? My block is right there. Okay, so now I want you to sweep your right arm, so you're still mirroring me. And we're gonna drop it all the way back and find the block or your heel, but without leaning back. I'm not leaning. Okay, lifting through the chest, so that could be just your block right here. Little camel pose in with our gate pose. So I always like to think of it as it's camel through the gate. Okay, we're letting the camel through the gate here. Take one more breath and then bring it back to center. We're gonna swap sides. So just bring that left side in. And I'm just gonna adjust my blanket so it makes it easier. There we go. So right leg goes out. Once again, setting up, block on that side. Okay, bend the knee a little bit. Make sure that if you're a hyperextender like I am, it's gonna buckle down. So I want you to put a little softness behind it. Okay, and it's gonna engage your quadriceps. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Get really long first, and now drop that right hand down. Find the block, even if it's with your fingertips, and keep reaching with the left side. And now we start to add that little lean over. Drop your shoulder down. A little further, so if you want to adjust your block, or even if you like to have just your fingertips reaching. Let's take another breath. And come up, ready for that little camel. So we're gonna sweep that right arm up. So half camel here. Inhale, sweep now, left arm. Turning toes under, or take a block back behind you and reach. So think of bridge pose. If you're a bridge fan, you know where to go. It's like your right foot or left foot. If your left foot was on the floor and you were lifting your hips up into bridge. Take one more breath. And now bring it back all the way to center. And release. All right, very, very nice. So we're gonna flip everything around. So if you've got your blanket and stuff, just move it off to the side. Okay. We're flipping everything onto the back. As you roll back on the mat, draw the knees into the chest. Give them a nice hug. Rock it side to side. So I want to give you a couple more options again here. We will do some bridges. So we did a lot of forward bend today, but we added in that little extra extension. But I want to give you an option to place your feet elevated. So once again, just like for your hands, make sure they feel like they're going to be secure on your mat.
We're just going to place the soles of the feet on the blocks unless it just feels uncomfortable or a little wobbly to you. Okay, and then just keep them on the floor. I'm going to keep the whole foot planted, so making sure that you can really press down through your heels, but also towards your toe mounts. It's okay if your toes fall off a little bit, right? But I want your whole foot planted. So inhale, start to scoop the belly down, so your rib cage pulls down, and then just lift up, activating the glutes. And lower it back down. So pull the ribs in, activate through the torso, shoulders pull back. Lift. And lower it down. We're going to take this one more time and just hold for about 3 to 4 breaths. Exhale, lift up. Holding here. Deep breath in. Every exhale, see if you can push solidly through your feet, but feel like you are going to draw your knees over your toes. So that's going to activate your hamstrings more. So feel like you were pushing your knees towards your toes. Take one more. And then slowly bring it back down. All the way to the mat. Very nice. You can cross that right ankle over left thigh, ready for figure 4, picking up left foot. Sliding your right hand, or grab my strap. Or you can take your strap and reach it through and hold on behind the left leg. Taking deep breaths. So the idea is always to drop those shoulders back. So that's one of the intentions when we use a strap here, is to make sure that our shoulders and chest can stay relaxed. Last big breath. Release it down. We go to the other side. Crossing left leg over right. Pick it up. And you are in your figure 4. So if you're using something behind the leg, just kind of bring it up a little closer to the crease of your knee rather than towards your glute. Take last breath here. And then release it down. So I'm going to bring both knees into chest and then find a reclining twist, arms out, rotating all the way to one side. Just let your knees rest together as you drop them over to the floor. Come back to center, inhale, and exhale over to the opposite side. And then one more time, back to center. Go ahead and if your blocks are still there, you could leave them and just rest your legs across them, or move them out of your way, or just reposition however you need to. We're going to reach the arms overhead and then let the arms come down by the sides for just a moment. I want you to take 3 to 4 big breaths in here. Focusing on lengthening your exhale, draw your shoulders back underneath you. Close the eyes. So stillness and quieting the mind don't have to be long practices, but just anytime you have a moment, just to take that instant of deep breath in and long exhale out. This is very calming to the nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system, we have that fight and flight response, and then we have our rest and relax response, or rest and digest. So that's our parasympathetic system, the one that helps us to relax and repair. It also helps boost your immune system, keeping you in that calm state. So on your next breath, as you reach your arms up and stretch long through the legs, take a breath in and find a moment of gratitude in that breath. And with your exhale, bring arms down by sides and pull the knees into the chest slowly, one at a time. And find that wonderful little reclining forward bend. All right, so from here, we're going to rock over to one side, just keeping your knees together. You can use your arm like a prop underneath you. Straightening the top leg. It's so very important that we come up out of these positions this way. I do this every day. And in the middle of the night, when I get up to go to the bathroom, you roll to the side and use your top hand. This will take a lot of that tension out of your core. And even though we want to use the core,
we're going to always be mindful to move carefully when we're coming up and down from the floor. So that is the safest way to come up. Also, you get that little extra work with your arm and chest. We come back up to seated, sitting tall, shoulders rolling back and down. Take a big sweep up, palms meet at center. Bringing hands down. Take a moment here. Let's just bow, honoring this time spent together, the time for this practice. And I thank you for showing up, doing something good for you today, and joining me. Namaste.